Убил?
Убил? Давай туда.
Не надо, поднимись.
Я поднимусь.
Перевесил. Забрался, убил. Доходи, попробуем.
За ними отчел.
Ну, побил. Убил.
The FNCS Qualifier 3-4 Season 6 is the final opportunity for teams to get to the finals and skip the semi-finals stage, and only the top 3 teams could make it. In previous weeks, Pleasant Park has been a spot that everyone's been looking at because Benji, Matsu and Amplify have been contested there by Floki, Clement and Decytpos, and honestly these two teams were just griefing each other's chances at getting a top 3 and shortcutting their way to the finals. However, this week was different because Floki, Clement and Decytpos decided to go to Slurpy Swamp instead of contesting Pleasant Park. This showed great maturity from Floki's team and also clearly showed that they wanted the top 3 more than anything else, especially given they placed 4th the previous week. However, without Floki contesting, Benji's team struggled a little bit with Storm Surge and they were 136 below. They ended up pushing over to AD, Ristretto and RZ, who were dropping at Craggy Cliffs, and attempted to fight them but actually ended up losing, meaning they were out of the first game. With that momentum from eliminating one of the best teams in the lobby, AD's team actually ended up grabbing height at 5th zone, which is very typical of their playstyle throughout the entire weekend. And on top of that, they ended up pulling first moving, so they're able to keep this over Kaden, X8 and Kylix, who were on the opposite height, who were also a team who were really focused on high ground. They ended up picking up the victory royale in the first game. However, kind of under the radar, Wulfee, Freemok and Default ended up picking up 10 eliminations, and Teak, Sei and Kami ended up picking up 9 eliminations too, moving them really far up the leaderboard. In game 2, Ristretto from that winning team was actually eliminated early, leaving Arzigod and AD left alive. However, this did not stop them. They claimed height in 5th zone yet again, and this was really looking like this was going to be their day. However, when first moving pulled completely max distance for them, they hadn't claimed enough space as they were only a duo on high ground and were unfortunately eliminated during first moving zone. The final battle in this game was between Pizza, Ardit and Fastroki and Wulfee's Void and Slender, where Pizza's team ended up picking up the victory royale. However, this was completely overshadowed by Freemok in this match, as he picked up one of the most insane runs I think I've ever seen.
Убил? Не надо, поднимись.
Я поднимусь.
Перевесил. Забрался, убил. Доходи, попробуем.
За ними отчел.
Ну, убил. Еще убил.
We were all very distracted with Freemok's incredible pop-off. However, the first and second battle between Wulfee's Void and Slender going against Fastroki, Pizza and Ardit in this match would not be the last time we were going to see this battle. In game 3, Wulfee's Void and Slender again placed 3rd with 10 eliminations, with Fastroki, Pizza and Ardit in 4th, so right next to each other in the game leaderboards as well. However, in this game we had Floki, Clement and Decytpos in 2nd. Switching up their drop spots clearly didn't make a single difference for this team at all. Stasio, Sinks and Paxian did get the victory royale in this, which pushed them into a top 10. However, this ended up being relatively insignificant over the course of the day. Looking at the top 4 in the leaderboards, they were really starting to shape up, as they were really starting to pull ahead of the rest of the pack. But there were still 3 games left. In a big turnaround in game 4, Slender, Void and Wulfee's are actually eliminated in 22nd place, meaning that there's space on the leaderboards for another team to start climbing up. However, Fastroki, Pizza and Ardit were eliminated in 16th with 3 eliminations, only gaining 15 points this game, so this wasn't going to change much of the leaderboards for them. Game 4 was really where Wulfee, Freemok and Default solidified themselves with the crown on their head, picking up the victory royale with 11 eliminations. At this point in the tournament, these guys look almost unbeatable, being almost 40 points ahead of the team in 2nd. With 2 games remaining, it seems like it's going to be a battle for 2nd and 3rd. The teams we're going to be looking out for are Floki, Clement, Decytpos, Fastroki, Pizza and Ardit, and Slender, Void and Wulfee's, who are all very close right now. Going into endgame, all of our important teams are still left in the game. However, Floki, Clement, and Decytpos end up getting picked up in 14th. Freemok, Wulfee, and Default end up going down in 10th, but Kami pops off and they end up placing 3rd.
Cammy is trying to stay right beside him, but he's gonna have to take out Ardit and Pizza by himself. Here's the big one on Ardit. He gets halfway. Is the second one there too? Full elim in the same box. Big flick on the Fastroki.
Okay.
Cammy is insane. He's taken out 2 of the best players in the lobby so far.
The 3v3 at the end ends up going between Fastroki, Pizza and Ardit, and Void, Slender and Wulfee's again, just like in game 2. However, this time, Wulfee's team gets the better of them. Floki's team now drops down to 4th, and the other teams were still in a commanding position going into the final game, but there's also now a possibility for Seti, Cammy and Teak to qualify in the top 3. The final game is loaded, the battle bus is ready, and in an incredible turn of events, Wulfee, Freemok and Default are eliminated in 28th. Once again, every other team that could qualify is still alive in moving zones, but Wulfee, Slender and Void end up going down in 7th with 6 eliminations. And they end on 184 points, which is 20 points more than they needed to qualify the last 2 weeks. Fastroki, Pizza and Ardit end up going down in 6th directly after them and end on a massive 198 points, overtaking Wulfee, Freemok and Default. The most important team left remaining in the game right now is Floki, Clement and Decytpos, as they are currently in 4th place and need to get over 184 points to beat out Wulfee's, Void and Slender, and to qualify them for finals, skipping that semi-final stage. After a massive struggle, they end up going down in 3rd with 8 eliminations and clutch out 185 points in this match. This takes them 1 point higher than Slender, Void and Wulfee's and qualifies them this week after placing 4th in the previous week. This means that our final qualifiers to the finals are Fastroki, Pizza, Ardit, Wulfee, Freemok and Default, and Floki, Clement and Decytpos. Hope you guys enjoyed this Reisshub recap. Peace.